762.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We'll wait 1 minute.
You have to go by the official clock.
I'll wait for Patty.
You're trying to get through that 52-minute.
Dan,
That's right.
when I bought an AR a few years ago,
Yeah.
and I went to the 762
Oh, okay.
because I figured you always could get ammunition, not knowing that it might be the most difficult to get.
It's nothing's easy to get now, so. Well, they have it. When I was in Rapid, I went to that running store that you and I stopped at that time. They had a few boxes, but it was $25 a piece. So I didn't end up getting any, but-
Okay, time being 6 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call vote, please.
Wanda,
Here,
Don,
Here.
Dan,
Here,
Sherry, Joe.
Here. We have quorum. Move on. Does anybody have a reason to abstain for financial or non-financial conflict of interest?
no,
I do not.
I do not.
I have none. That, is there any additions or changes to the agenda?
I have one. We had a water heater go down at the safety center. It's kind of an emergency situation where our chief maintenance person really wanted to get this fixed ASAP because it's putting a lot of stress on the other two. And so I would like to add replace water heater in the safety center to the agenda, if we could do that.
Okay, we will put that as 15A, if that works.
And I would make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of the water heater.
Second,
Motion and a second for approving the modified agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. This time, would anybody care to make public comment?
Is he for the cannabis?
You're gonna be for the reading of the or. So. So at this time, I'm gonna close public comment. And we'll move into item 5, ambulance bid.
Hey, how's everybody? Good. I'm here to ask to open or start a closed bid ambulance bid process. We have budgeted money currently, and we are set to remount an ambulance in 2022. With the current state of the new chassis not having a lot of chips to
Availability.
be building them. Yes. What we'd like to do is go ahead and present a bid for our ambulance that we're going to do in 2022, but we'll do it currently so that we can get our name, if you will, attached to a chassis, so they will start building the chassis for us. We would, that chassis would probably not come till middle of 2022, and we wouldn't take purchase of that ambulance after we did the remount. Would be probably middle, late fall, maybe, sometime before the end of 2022.
what do the chips have to do with the chassis? Don't the chips go in the rest of the unit?
No, the chip is a computer chip that operates the trucks, the vehicles.
Well, by chassis, we're
Chassis,
talking,
talking
I'm
about the-
thinking the metal part.
No.
you are correct, but it would be the engine cab
Oh,
with,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so what, it's the truck part, the truck portion, and they put the box on top of the truck portion.
And so this
maybe
is,
frame is the better word.
I'm sorry?
I said, maybe I'm thinking frame would be the better word.
Okay,
so this is a 2014 and is this our oldest one?
this is our oldest
Okay.
one. It's got a little over 150 on it now, probably 160. By the time we are able to exchange it, it'll be way over 200,000. Or over 200,000.
Remind me, do you get a bid from the, like a dealer or from the chassis,
Yeah, the dealers, what they have dealer contracts with
Yeah.
the chassis companies, and we have a I don't know what it's, I can't recall it right off the top of my head. It's a certain kind of number that Yankton County has that they're able to go out and get them at way.
State rate or
way,
whatever.
yeah, state rate or even lower than that, yes.
Patty, do we trade the old chassis off or do we auction that off? Or what do we? how do
It's
we-
part of the trade.
It's the
So it's part
trade-in.
of the deal. So they,
Okay.
when they present the
Mhm.
money or the price of that they incorporate the trade.
So what are they giving us for a trade-in? Do we have any idea?
You don't know that until you throw
Okay.
out the bid, but it'll
Okay.
probably be somewhere in the $3,000 or $4,000 range,
Oh, really?
which is
That's kind
a
of,
lot more than you would get on if you were just to trade it off.
well, there's a chip shortage now. so
There is a
chips are
chip
worth
shortage,
more, so-
yes, yes. So, just if they're, budget wise, we have 120,000 ready to spend now. You budgeted for another 20,000.
For
The
22.
chassis will not come, it'll be $20,000-$30,000, I'm guessing for the chassis, and that's what we'll be putting a down payment on. So it'll be, that's the kind of down payment we'll be doing this year, which we already have budgeted for.
And remounting the box.
And remounting the box, yes, it's about $20,000 to $30,000 difference between buying a new one and buying a remount. And this box has already been remounted once.
Okay.
So,
Any more questions? I'd entertain a motion.
I'll move approval of the request.
Second,
Motion and a second to approve the request for bid. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I have a dumb question. How can we open it on the 5th of October and come back and you guys approve if we do get a bid and we get one that's acceptable, will the 5th of the next meeting be an acceptable bid opening
They
that
usually-
afternoon?
I
Like
guess
they usually have it, the bid opening in the morning, and then at the commission meeting, they usually
Okay.
present it to the board.
The way I understand it, we only have to have it advertised for 2 weeks. And I think that's what we should advertise for, and that'll be the 5th, October 5th, which will be your next commission meeting.
Well,
Then
if
we
we're-
can start moving forward
If
then.
it's so far behind, I guess I hopefully we get more than a couple bids. I guess I'd be okay with keeping it over a little longer because you said we're not gonna get it till the end of
Okay.
twenty
And that's
twenty-two.
fine, we can.
See if we can do, hopefully we get some more bids and
Yep,
they
we can
compete
wait
with each
until,
other.
because
so-
I think I come back and present my quarterly update in the second meeting of October, so we can just do it
Should
all
do
at that time. So, is there need to be a chairman signature or anything on a bid notice, or that's just approved? Okay, well, they just approved it, so I'm good to go, and I'll keep it open until a few days or the morning of the 21st or whatever that October meeting is.
And-
Yes, sir.
And for the public's knowledge. You've budgeted for this over the past 3 years, and
Right now, it's 3 years. Next year, that is actually the day that the year we're supposed to
So
purchase
you-
it, that'll be 4 years.
you really put the money.
We put money aside, yes. Put a little bit of,
That's in when you do the budget, the county accumulation.
yeah,
That's what that is.
yes.
I just want the public to understand that it's not all borrowed money that we use. It's some of it's
Right.
good fiscal planning.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay,
Anything else?
you should be good.
Thank you all very much. Have a good evening.
Okay, item 6, approve the 2022 annual budget.
Aren't we doing number 7? Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped ahead.
In good time. Any questions on the budget? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
We gotta ask for public comment on the budget.
It's not a hearing.
It's not. All right.
The provisional one was a hearing.
I'll move approval of the proposed budget for 2022.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the 2022 annual budget. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes. Or should that be? Okay. Okay, with that, we'll move on to item 7, the Purple Heart presentation. Cody, floor is yours.
Thank you. I'd like to invite the members from the Military Order of the Purple Heart to come forward. Real quick, I'll read the proclamation and then they will do a presentation of the signs to you all. All right, proclamation recognizing Purple Heart veterans in Yankton County as a Purple Heart County. Whereas the county of Yankton and the state of South Dakota has always supported its military population, and whereas Yankton County has a large and healthy veteran population, including many Purple Heart recipients, and has great admiration and the utmost gratitude for all men and women who have selflessly served their country, and whereas the Purple Heart is the oldest military decoration in present use and was initially created as the badge of military merit by General George Washington in 1782. And whereas the Purple Heart was the first American Service Award or decoration made available to all who serve and is specifically awarded to members of the United States Armed Forces who have been wounded or paid the ultimate sacrifice in combat with the declared enemy of the United States of America. And whereas the mission of the Military Order of the Purple Heart is to foster an environment of goodwill among combat wounded veteran members and their families, promote patriotism, support legislative initiatives, and most importantly, make sure we never forget. And whereas Yankton County appreciates the sacrifices our Purple Heart recipients made in defending our freedoms, and believe it is important that we acknowledge them for their courage and show them for honor and support they have earned. Now therefore be proclaimed that Yankton County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim the county of Yankton as a Purple Heart County, to encourage the citizens of Yankton County to show their appreciation for the sacrifices our Purple Heart recipients have made in defending our freedoms, to acknowledge their courage and to show them the honor and support they have earned. Passed by the Yankton County Board of Commissioners at a regular meeting of said commission held the 3rd of August, 2021, attested by Karen Palber and Sherry Loos, chairwoman.
Give them all the mic. We'd like to come up. Actually, thank you, sir. Will you say? You guys, would you guys like to say anything? Would you guys care to say anything?
Mike has to hang them up. Oh, are they?
Yeah, we're gonna have him say a few words if you don't mind. So.
I don't stand up, so I'll have to bend over here a little bit. Thank you on behalf of the Military Order of the Purple Heart from the Department of the Dakotas, Chapter 53, 55 in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. This is just a small token of appreciation, not only to the veterans families, and those that have gone before us and shed blood for this country and for our freedom. We do this on part of the Purple Heart org or Purple Heart website. There's a Purple Heart Trail that starts off at Monticello and goes all the way to the West Coast. This is all will be part of the South Dakota or the Department of the Dakotas city and counties and businesses, and I-90 is the Purple Heart Trail from the Minnesota border to the Wyoming border. So if you're on I-90 at any rest area, there's a sign explaining the Purple Heart Trail. And when we get the pictures and the write-ups, and we'll send that into the Purple Heart Trail, and then they'll put it on the website. So it'll be in South Dakota's, it's a Purple Heart for the Yankton County and for the city and identified. So thank you very much for your time and patience and doing the proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, that was a nice presentation and now, thank you, Cody.
Thanks, Cody.
Mike. We've got the approve the 5-year plan. Now, I don't expect to go over the whole 5-year plan tonight by any means. We had a separate meeting for that. I think you have copies, correct?
Yep, I have copies
If
here. If
anybody-
anybody does need copies of the 5-year plan. It was about the last Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. was our 5-year plan meeting. I would say we had fair attendance to it. Took about an hour. Had some comments, good. So,
And that is up on the website if anybody.
yep, it was
at home
recorded and
wants to see it.
it's on the website underneath commission meetings. So,
With that, is there any questions before approval from the commission? If Not, I'd entertain a motion.
Move approval of the 5-year plan.
Second,
Commission Wanda Fox. Motion and a second to approve 5-year plan. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
the next transfer funds from the money set aside for the roads. Got for the amount of $117,640. There'll be one more batch after this. This is all for the paving on Walshtown Road right now.
Okay.
With
Now,
us adjusting the load limits on that bridge, do you foresee more traffic going on that road with Highway 46 being as bad as it is?
There may be some. But like I said, during 46 construction, that's pretty much gonna be closed down.
Mhm.
So I don't foresee, there'll be most likely more local traffic than anything.
Okay.
The lights did show up for Fleet's Bridge, but still waiting on the signs.
Have we heard from people from the other areas of the other 3 bridges?
Yes.
Yes, the
We-
can of worms have been opened.
Yeah, I've already heard that they want Jamesville and Johnson Bridge and already the same thing.
I just don't recommend Johnson for sure, because we've had issues. It's just like I said, last fall, we had to repair it. It was 125,000. Bill didn't show up until this year. It's 125,000 out of my budget for this year, so you guys got to shuffle the funds, and which we can make it happen, but
That damage occurred while it was still load limited as well, so.
right. And on Jamesville, there was a major repair back in 2019 also. Right.
$250,000, that one was.
So back to the transfer. Now, the previous time we transferred that out of ARPA funds, Patty, you,
I've been
have
talking to the
concerns
state
anyway.
auditor, yeah. So I think if we have to redo that motion, but I'm gonna talk to him tomorrow some more about it.
Is that about the ARPA fund motion? And a little caveat on that, attending the state commissioner.
Dan, move your microphone.
How much closer do you want to be? Is that good? All right. Talking to the state association, we need to be very, very careful when we're doing the ARPA funds. We need to be working with District 3 and they've actually hired a consultant. I appreciate Sherry's research, but I also don't want to be in the position where we do one thing wrong and we're scrambling to find that $400,000 to replace that. So District 3 has a procedure in place, and I think we need to be following that, especially with the ARPA funds when we are doing that. So.
But this is fine.
Mhm.
He advised that we do this since we set it aside for Mike.
okay,
We can take it out of the sign.
What was the amount, Mike?
$117,640.
All right, I guess I make a motion to transfer the $117,640 to the highway department.
Second,
motion by Clemish, second. Excuse me, second by Kettering to transfer $117,640 to the highway budget. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Then one other thing, if you guys are looking at the bills for this go around, Jebro is a big chunk. That is our chip seal oil. And then the road guy is the other big amount on there. That is also for chip seal.
Is that for Utica Road? Chip seal for road guy or which?
Road guy, he did all of our chip seal, east-west, the Tabor Road, east-west
Okay.
Westerville Road, Jamesville, 301, 448 from 46 to 50, and then also south of Gateville. There'll be one more batch of Jebro bills coming in yet. That'll be, the bill for the road guy is tonight. That is the only bill from him that week. Then just FYI for the public, striping will begin tomorrow on all of our chip seal routes. No fog line right away, the white stripes on the outside. They're just concentrating on center stripe right now. And then pavement, probably next Monday or Tuesday will be our last day of paving. I don't want to run out of good weather to finish some other projects, so we're only going to get 2 miles south of 46 complete. So
And
next
on-
year, hopefully we will complete all the way to 50 and part of Johnson Bridge.
So on that, just so everybody's aware, you've been, not to throw anyone under the bus, you've been having issues with the asphalt plant and between multiple people paving in the county, breakdowns at the asphalt plant. So it's been slower going than what you anticipated.
So next year, I'm gonna choose a different time to do it. I'm hoping we can just get after it right away in June and try to beat the rush. Right now we're fighting. There's times at the asphalt plant, there's 25 trucks waiting in line. So that we go from a 600-ton day down to 350 ton. So you're dang near cutting it in half.
I'd rather just boogie and get it done and over with because we got other things going, but
Well, thanks for all your work, Mike. I appreciate it.
thank you.
Okay.
Any questions?
Get out of here.
All right, you guys have a good night. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
But we have to vote.
Okay, we've got 7 minutes
Let's do the plats.
for the
Can we do the
5-year
plats
plan or
instead?
for the budget?
For the 117,000.
All those in favor of transferring the
Oh, did we?
117,000?
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
I thought we did, but we
Yeah, I
make
wasn't-
sure. Okay.
Alright.
We've got 5 minutes before the second reading of ordinance for medical cannabis. We've got to hold off on board of adjustment.
Plats.
Let's go to plats. Item 12.
Plat of Lot 6, Lakes Forest Estates in the west half and in the south half of the southeast quarter, all in section 16, Township 93 North, Range 57 West of the 5th PM, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Move approval of the plat.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Well, slow down, Speed Racer.
That's in a
Further
planned unit
discussion?
development one, right? That's in that planned unit development west of town. Yep.
Were we gonna wait for 6:45 for him to theoretically show up, or is he not showing up?
They rarely ever
Typically.
show up for plats.
Really?
And
Well,
they're not advertised.
a plat is basically if it meets the criteria, it
I
used to
just
be administrative, so.
Thought maybe with the history, he would show up.
Any
Okay.
more discussion? Okay. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor to approve lot 6 of Lake Forest Estates plat, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Ready for the next one?
Yes.
Replat of Sailor Tract 1 in the northeast quarter of the northwest quarter and the northwest quarter of the northeast quarter of section 1, Township 96 North, Range 55 West of the 5th PM, Yankton County, South Dakota.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve Sailor Tract 1 replat. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. We've got 2 minutes.
I'm gonna vote for planning
You want
commission.
to move to appoint the new planning commissioner, item 13. We have an opening on the planning commission. We've had 2 applicants. Everybody write down one name and give it to Patty.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead. This,
don't we
Or
just have to
circle.
circle one?
Or just circle.
yeah, she's gonna, she took my copy, so.
It should be in your pile of stuff. Yep, right there.
Just gonna circle it. Did I
Matt
say-
Evans, 3, Dale, 1.
I'm just gonna say, did I say the names? Matt Evans and Dale Hebda had applied, and so Now we need a motion to appoint Mr. Evans to the planning commission.
What's that? I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, motion to appoint Mr. Evans to the planning commission.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to appoint Matt Evans to the planning commission. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, time being 6:30. We'll move back to item 9, the second reading of ordinance number 21-ZN-06 for medical cannabis establishments. At this time, I'll take public comment on the ordinance, if anyone would like to step forward. So this is on the ordinance portion for the zoning, not for the licensing.
Got it. Ned Horsted, Executive Director of the Cannabis Industry Association of South Dakota. I was here for the first reading. I think it's in pretty good shape. Since then, a licensing ordinance has come together. So the one thing that I'll mention on this is, and I'll speak to this again in a few minutes. There are some caps in the licensing ordinance. The only thing where I would see a potential issue here is, allowing dispensaries in ag ground. From an industry standpoint, I think it'd be great if you could have someone that, could grow it and also sell it from their farm. For example, they'd still have to jump through all the hoops. It's not for the faint of heart. Like, it's a pretty big application process, a lot of security and stuff with the state. I just mentioned that now because, if you do decide to leave caps of some sort in place in your licensing ordinance, you may want to consider removing dispensaries from the ag piece, just so the people that apply would be in Lakeside Commercial or some of the other places that would make sense. That said, I guess my preference would be to leave it as is, so businesses have the ability to operate that way and solve the issue with caps by just removing them in the licensing ordinance. So I'll speak to that next when we get to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else care to make public comment on the zoning ordinance? Hearing and seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for discussion and motion.
My only comment is on rethinking. I'm questioning whether we should have 7 licenses for each instead of 10, because we have 7 package liquor, 7 liquor licenses. And so that the 7 flows all the way through.
Okay,
But that's my only comment.
duly noted, but I'm gonna move that one to the licensing portion or whatever.
That's fine.
But as far as the ordinance itself, is there any other questions, concerns? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I'd move to approve the second reading of the ordinance number 21-ZN-06 for medical cannabis establishments.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Fox, second by Clemish, to approve the amending the ordinance. I'll do a roll call vote, please.
Wanda,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Joe.
Yes. Motion passes. Next to look, can I get a motion to move into? No,
It's-
no, we got 1 minute. That clock's wrong.
Oh,
Okay, 6:35.
Make
Get
a
a
motion to go into Board of Adjustment.
Second.
Motion and a second to go move into Board of Adjustment. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, item 10.
He's not here. I can explain it if you would like me to, otherwise you can table it. Your call.
You gonna put the picture up?
I mean, basically, it looks to me as he's building a building.
He's just
In a-
modifying this.
Yeah, I'd say we move forward with it.
Oh, that's-
It's noticed and on the agenda.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get the picture up so you can see where he's, and I can explain what he's doing. It's pretty simple. Oops. I'll do it on B, 'cause I have that. In his original CUP, where the big building is at the north, he was approved to add on to that on the west side. Here. He chose to move that to this corner. It's a storm shelter and a community center. He said it was much more convenient and safer for the people here to just go here instead of having to cross all the way across where he has his machinery and things going on. So he's just moving what was approved here to this corner.
And part of that was that original one, that gray roof was original and then he added to the east, correct?
Yeah, this was there, and then he got approval to add this on this side and also on this side. He
Okay,
had two variances. I've got copies of those
okay.
files. But he's, like he said, this was just not safe and convenient, so he chose to move that part of it.
Right. Okay, and setbacks from those lot lines are okay?
He has assured me that he's been out there and found the lines and measured, and that he meets the setbacks.
Okay. With that, I'll take, is there any more questions for Bill on this? Not, I will open this up to public comment. If anyone would like to make public comment on the modification of this CUP. Hearing and seeing non-public comment is closed. I'll bring it back to the board for motion.
I'd move for approval of Mr. Oliver's change in plans.
Second,
Motion in a second. Motion by Kettering, second by Clemish to approve the modification as presented. Roll call vote, please.
Don,
Yes,
Dan,
yes.
Wanda,
Yes,
Joe.
Yes. Motion passes. I'd entertain a motion to come out of Board of Adjustment and back to regular session.
Make a motion to go back into regular session.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We are now back into regular session with 2 minutes to kill.
You want to do like the claim or the,
Do claim.
Let's do the
Or the
water
action.
heater.
All right. See Jeff's here, but he gave me the paperwork, just so everybody's aware in the jail. One of the water heaters went down. I've been told they were both replaced a year or two ago, and this one wasn't replaced because it was still functioning okay. Well, that's not the case anymore. There's two bids in front of you. One's for $17,725. One is for $14,256.
And when did
we got-
this water heater become malfunctioning?
I think it was just a few days ago is what happened. So Jeff really scrambled and got these bids, and I believe it's leaking and causing kind of a mess right now, and definitely making the other water heaters work double time.
and Dan, you said the water heaters have been replaced a year
The,
ago?
the,
The one.
the other, there's three water
Okay.
heaters. Two of them were replaced.
Ah,
This one,
okay.
we tried to be prudent with the taxpayer dollars and we didn't replace it, and now it needs to be replaced. So
Do we have money set aside for,
Have to be out of the jail funds.
no, I think it can come out of the building. We have a building fund that we
Yeah.
raise taxes.
I believe, is there 60,000 we
Uh-huh.
put into the building fund for these types of things? So
I don't, Do we have those quotes? Just so we have, right?
Deb, can they make a motion on it since it's on the agenda?
We added it to the agenda at the beginning. Yeah, no. Yeah, normally I wouldn't like to do that, but this is kind of an emergency situation.
I don't- Tip, like in something like this, would he need to go out for
No.
bids and have a
It's like-
motion and everything, or he can?
He felt comfortable, and Jeff wanted to bring it to the commission for approval. And, you know, I don't blame him. It is a lot of money, but it has to be done. We have to take care of
You can,
the prisoners, so.
So there's a quote for Hander Plumbing, not a Sioux Falls, for $17,725. And one from Pfeiffer in Yankton for $14,256.
as long as it isn't over 50,000, I think they don't have to advertise.
Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, credit to Jeff for getting on this right away and trying to save, save money. So are you looking for a motion?
Yeah, do we need a motion to?
So I guess I'd move approval of the Pfeiffer bid for, you took my paper, so 14,256
256.
to replace the water heater.
Second.
Motion by Clemish, second by Kettering to replace the water heater in the jail. In the amount of $14,256. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. We'll move back to item 11. First reading of medical cannabis licensing ordinance number 21-ZN-07. So before we get into this, I'm going to encourage people to have discussion and save any motions if we want to make any changes or amendments until the following meeting, because we'll have another reading of this.
I'm sorry, Joe, I didn't hear what you said. What did you say?
Oh, we'll have our discussion regarding this, but I would hold any motions to make any actual changes or modifications until
The end.
till the end,
Got it.
probably till the next meeting in case something else comes up and we want to,
Sure.
so we're not modifying it
Yeah.
over and over.
Yeah, and time is really running out, on getting something in place to. When is the actual date that the state law goes into effect for this, Deb? Are you?
They still have 5 sections, I think, that the Department of Health
Okay.
that the
Mhm.
legislators rejected.
Okay,
And so it's still not fully, the Department of Health stuff still isn't fully
Okay.
approved. So I'm still going by October 29th, which was the original date that they
Okay.
gave us. The thought was it could be as soon as October 4th, but
Mhm.
our second reading will be October 5th, and then you have 20 days
Okay.
after that. So we're looking at October 25th.
So this can be petitioned to a vote, the licensing one.
Whether or not it can or can't, it's still under the 20-day
Okay.
Mhm.
where you have to give it 20 days before it
Okay.
goes into effect. So what I sent out was a draft, and I took any questions from the last meeting. So Mr. Clemish, your question was about the definition
Yes.
of a practitioner.
Uh-huh.
This is the state
That's what the-
definition.
Mhm.
So where the other one that you saw came from, I don't know. When I look at any of the other ordinances, this is the definition that they
Okay.
used, so.
Thank you.
And then everything else that people talked about, I changed and made a note that in the comment section. The last thing that was talked about was the transfer. And there was back and forth about what you wanted to do. So I changed the location transfer, which would be section 9 A. And I left that you couldn't transfer the license itself, but you all have in your packet that Valley printed out the license transfer that Lincoln County just approved. And so that's another option on the table. Whether you want to go with that. So that takes care of anything that you asked me to look at or update.
Thank you.
And I added page numbers with the draft. They're off because of the comments, but
Mhm.
they will be on the bottom of the page when we're all done.
Thank you, Deb.
I think at this point, I'll open the floor to public comment. Anybody in the audience care to come forward?
Hello, everyone. Ned Horsted again with the Cannabis Industry Association of South Dakota. I was going to mention this last time. I appreciate the good government that I've seen down here in Yankton. Been doing meetings at the state level throughout different localities, and the fact that like you stick to your agenda for the viewers at home is a wonderful thing. I've been to several meetings where they shuffle stuff around and, you know, try to make things a little bit more difficult than they need to be. Also want to commend Deborah and Gary both for being very helpful on the staff side of things as we've kind of had these conversations the last few weeks. I will first speak to caps. I mentioned a little bit about this. We've been kind of taking a temperature and taking a look at a lot of other counties and cities. I'll point out Lincoln County in particular, which is my home county, actually, where I was born and raised. I think you'll probably see some counties that won't do anything here and they'll just be governed by state rules. Lincoln County, I believe currently is the most free market county that they have out there, just that they have no caps. If you meet zoning, I don't even know if you have to go through conditional use. If you meet zoning, let's say you've got a cultivation facility in an ag area, you're good to go there. If you've got a dispensary in a commercial area, assuming setbacks, you know, they're 400 feet setbacks, which I think makes a great deal of sense. Then you're just good to go. So we think that that's the proper way to operate, you know, wide open free market. Some things that you've seen in other areas, and who knows, like you might not even get 10 applications of any one of these license types. But we have seen in other states where, you know, it does invite litigation of some sort, because if it's conditional use and you let Bob have one, but Steve and you know, Denise don't get one, then people are upset and there's something to do about that. Removing caps just eliminates that entirely out of the equation. The piece on, let me rewind a bit. So state timeline, we were out there and we've been working with the Department of Health to put together some of these rules. We were out there and actually asked to have some of these rules reverted. So the ones that the legislature kicked back, they're working on to make, I think, better for patients in the industry. And just, you know, there's really a desire to make this the best program in the country. What I'm trying to get to there is October 5th, my understanding is when all of the rules that did not get kicked back would take effect. So you're right on track with passing this as long as you get it done in the next reading. One quick point on transferability, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have throughout discussion here. Location, I think, is a good idea. You may want to investigate time frame on that just a bit. The nervousness or question that might arise here is, let's say you've got someone just out in the country that owns a farm, they apply for all the licensing because they meet regulations, then you've got some sort of commodity. Even though you can't transfer it by person, it's pretty easy to set up an LLC, become a member of an LLC, shift some stuff around, and next thing you know, licenses are grabbed from people that are way out, that really there's how do I put it, not a high likelihood that they would actually have the business where they applied for their license. So that's just one thing to consider, I guess, as you go into the next reading. And then on the transferability by entity, as we've seen this come together in some other areas, Sioux Falls changed this like last minute. It was like the night of the second reading where Janet Brecky on the city council said, this prevents anyone from building equity in their business, and the rest of the council and the mayor agreed with that. So they did allow transferability. It creates a messy situation because of the liquor analogy, right? These become like a commodity that's created by the government. I don't think anyone really wants that. So, what is the solution to that? I think, again, if we go back to pulling caps out of there, then there is no commodity there. You can make them transferable or not. None of that really matters because there's not a set amount. Finally, just to the comment on liquor licenses, there have been some cities and counties that have used that and just said, let's do exactly what we did with liquor. Other areas are thinking more like, do we cap pharmacies? Do we cap grocery stores? Do we cap restaurants? So all this is just kind of speaking to that free market message that I try to bring to all these meetings throughout the state. So with that, thank you for your time. Again, if you have any questions, I'm happy to help. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the audience care to make any comment? Hearing and seeing none, public comment is closed. I'll bring it back to the board for some more discussion, if any. I know, Wanda, you brought up licenses.
Excuse me, that was just a thought that I had to try and make it consistent. I have no problem with the free market theory. I also don't want to make it a false economy in the way liquor licenses are at this time.
So one thing I think we need to touch on is the transferring. And I know the point that Ned, you were making, kind of somebody sitting on a license if they're capped. One thought on that I have is to address that is if someone comes in for a license and they essentially are not using it, they are likely to not be renewed the following year. That would be my thought. Not that we can't address it another way, but aside from that, what Lincoln County did as far as transferring to a new owner, I like the way that was written. It's any medical cannabis establishment license issued in Lincoln County is not transferable to a new owner, business, or other entity. An owner or business which possesses a medical cannabis establishment license may designate a successor, which will be given priority in their application for new license. So if I've got a business, I want to sell it. I've got a buyer. Right? You're still buying my business that we used
Sure.
last time.
Yep.
So I've got a buyer to help ensure there's not a fictitious value put on that license. You need to apply on your own merit, but I can say, if you're successful, that I would give up my license to give to you, is how I would interpret that.
Mr. Oliver, you're late.
And then on that, I've got a question for Deb or maybe Ned. In that realm of is there a time to act upon your license? If I apply for a license and receive it, do I have to operate within a certain time in the state law?
Yeah,
State rule, I can't remember which rule it is.
yep.
Okay,
You've got to do what?
It's basically a year because
Use it
you
or
have
lose
to
it.
renew every year.
right.
So you can't get a license and then not do anything with it and then come in and try and get it renewed.
Right.
So you basically have to be up and running within the year once you get your license.
And then one thing that I was asked, let's say October 5th, I apply or whenever I can, I would apply at the county level. It goes up to the state. If I get approval December 20th, is there a grace period before you operate?
So Meade County put in for this very first year, that it would be good for the following year.
Okay.
And I have that language, because he did foresee that that could happen, given the fact that everything's getting pushed back to basically the end of the year.
Right.
If you apply in 2021 and are granted your license in 2021, he's got it so that would go through 2022.
Through 22, and
Yeah.
then following, if you apply in November, that's your own planning.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I do have that language. It was in like the very first draft
Yeah.
that I gave you. So he just prepared for that. So basically your license, if you apply in 2021 and are granted, you get the whole into 2022.
Okay. Does anybody have any issue or want to chew on that, I guess, for next meeting, but
I think that makes sense,
I-
given we're at the end of the year.
I think with things kind of in the air, I would support something like that for the initial year you covered. 2021 and 2022.
Do you want to add that into this, or do you want to add it into the application process? Because we haven't gotten any new applications, is that correct? So maybe
Right.
that's something we address when we get applications.
Well, we specifically say in here that it's,
Mhm.
if you apply in December, you have to reapply in
So then
January.
maybe we should just let people know when they apply.
It's easy enough to put that language back in. It
Okay.
just basically has a different time frame for
Mhm.
2021.
But going forward.
But
that-
going forward,
yeah.
it doesn't apply.
So, yeah, for the next, 3 months, it'll be an issue, and it shouldn't be an issue ever again.
Right.
In theory. So maybe we could, if it would be simpler, just to have a form for anybody who does apply, that we just take that into consideration rather than putting in the ordinance. I'm fine either way, because it really doesn't matter.
It's easy enough to put
Okay.
in there.
All right.
Okay, so I think keep that on the back burner for. Okay, any other discussion at this time?
No, it looks good to me.
So what do you want to do though with the license transfer? I mean, I would definitely, I know we're gonna hold off on changes, but
We'd like to know how we feel on the
It-
changes.
it'd be beneficial to me to know if I need to look at anything else.
I'm
I'm-
okay with the Lincoln County
I'm
language.
comfortable with that verbiage.
And so that would actually take out, that we would go back to similar to what we had before. And that section on location transfer
Mhm.
would come back out. Or do you want to keep that in
I like the location transfer,
and use this for the license?
the
itself?
license
Okay.
transfer. Because I think we need to leave an option open if
Want
Wanda,
to sell
if
out.
Wanda bails, but I've got a better location, I want to keep my business and move it.
Question or maybe recommendation there?
Sure.
Come on up.
I do kind of like that transferability language. It allows some flexibility. I think to solve for one of the issues that I mentioned, which would be someone just applying to get a hold of a limited license. And that's anytime you have a limited quantity of something, it will increase their value regardless of what you do. You could put something in there that would be from, one zone to one zone. So you could, an ag cultivation facility could go from one side of the county to the other location wise. Just an idea, or, lakeside commercial to lakeside commercial, but you can't necessarily, and maybe I'm overcomplicating things, but just an idea that I had, which would make it so if you've got people that have, the right zoning for dispensary, they are likely to get that license because it transfers by zoning type. Am I making sense?
Yeah, but given the fact that they've authorized all 4 establishments in all 3 districts, theoretically, you could have, like Lincoln.
We're
County-
not capping it per district, it's capped per county,
Right.
right?
So like Lincoln County, they limited like where certain of the establishments could go. No caps, but you can only have a dispensary here.
Sure.
They're not doing that. So Your point would be, if you're gonna transfer location and you're in commercial, you can only transfer to another commercial location. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. And in idea, I figure that might solve for some potential issues that you'd have. What you see in other states where, you know, you're dealing with different caps is it'll just be a mad dash for people to get their hands on one of, you know, it's like the Lord of the Rings ring, like I have this license, now I can do something with it.
Shoot first and ask questions.
Yeah, so like I'm just trying to figure out, you know, how can we remain open for business, but you know, again, it just goes back to whether or not we have caps, and if we do, then how to be a little bit more creative with dealing with the monster that can be created because of it, if I'm making sense.
So your transfer location, would it have language that would limit if you're already located in one of the 3 districts, zoning
Give it
districts? You
preference.
have to stay in that
Yeah.
zoning district.
Or they would have preference to do that or something, but
So if you're gonna transfer your location and you're in ag, you can transfer it to another ag location, but not necessarily a commercial, is what he's
See,
basically.
I guess I think not having that language in there allows for more flexibility, especially as areas get rezoned and developed, and you know, we don't know what the future is gonna hold with this. but-
yeah, it makes sense.
But there's, you know, I know our lakeside commercial is a lot of the lots are being developed and there won't be too many of them open in the future. So
What does your crystal ball say, or how many applications we're gonna have in Yankton County?
I can guarantee you'll have at least 2.
And I think with the number 10 that we agreed on, that's enough where it's not 2, it's 10. And so I think anybody who's gonna apply is gonna need to take it pretty serious, especially with a non-refundable $5,000
That's
is,
true.
and they're gonna have to get that business up and running. They're not gonna be able to sit on that license for 5-10 years. They're gonna have to do something with it. And, you know, 10 of them, that's quite a few for the county. So,
Yeah, and they would all need your blessing
mhm.
and your successor's blessing to get the license in the first
Yeah.
place. So someone's trying to throw a dispensary up in the middle of nowhere where it wouldn't make sense. You guys
Yeah.
can say, maybe you should rethink this.
Well, and
All
that's,
right.
that's where the free market is gonna dictate. If you can
Yep.
put it down by the lake where you get all kinds of traffic, that's one thing.
Well, I think what
as
you're saying
opposed
is
to in
someone's
the
gonna
middle of
try to,
nowhere. So,
you own a property, so you snatch up a license and then you buy a property
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yep.
It's what you're saying, but
I
yeah,
don't know,
okay.
as much work as you have to put into the applications and all this, I don't think too many people are
Don't you have
gonna
to
wanna
put the
do that,
site in?
'cause-
Did you have to put
Yeah, the
application?
site's
Yeah,
part of that.
so you don't get the license and then the site. I think you have to have
Yeah.
the site before you get the license.
Yeah.
You're applying for a specific
Mhm.
location.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
good.
Well,
Thanks.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, and this is 10 just in the county. We also have all these small municipalities as well that are scattered all throughout the county, and they're allowed to have, I don't know what each individual one, but they're allowed to have some there as well. So this is in addition to what's in the Yankton and our small communities, so.
Any more discussion?
No.
Okay, with that, I will close item 11. We'll have the next reading October 5th, 4th? 5th, October 5th
It'll be the second reading.
will be the
Mhm.
second reading. Okay, we are on to item 14. South Dakota Region 6 Mutual Aid Agreement 2021, Mr. Sherschlick.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, while you're
Thanks,
handing
Paul.
those out, I'd like everybody to know that the Yankton County Office of Emergency Management was given a Spark Coalition Award. Not the Cootie Award, the Cody Award. Right? Collaboration of the Year Award.
went out to Paul and his team. United Way and Spark put that out and nominated them.
Right.
And I think I was in the combine, I saw you coming into town.
Yeah, we were the recipients for that. It was really a surprise when we were called and said that you need to be here at a certain time to receive this award. So that was pretty cool to get that, but like I told them at the thing, even though we got a great staff and all our people work really hard, it's a community that makes it work for everybody. So, we just don't do it ourselves. So it was pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, we
Congratulations,
appreciate
Paul.
it, and I've talked to others and they appreciate that you have done well collaborating with
Mhm.
all the groups. It's in the
Yep.
past
COVID.
couple of years, you've had 2 floods and a
And COVID,
pandemic,
yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Take a year off, right?
Yeah. And we had emergency management conference last week. And just to let you know, I didn't have the paperwork, but Aaron received an achievement award. It was a one award giving each year to a different emergency manager, but and since she started, she was nominated for the different things during the pandemic and the flood and stuff. So I'll email you the letter that was submitted to the state. But anyway, she was given that award last week. So I thought that was pretty
Oh,
cool.
good. Congratulations.
Yep.
And I wanted to touch too, on the collaboration and the award. You put a significant amount of time into the archery tournament.
Still am.
Yep.
We still are.
Yep.
Yeah.
How's things going?
Pretty, as far as I know, pretty well. It's kind of not really, and I don't want to say, I don't know exactly what's going on right now, but we're gearing up for this weekend because that's the big one, if you will, with the tournaments. We've been meeting every Monday with the stakeholders, law enforcement, EMS, with the national archery people. We haven't met with the world people yet, but I'm sure like Chief Foot and those guys have. But we've developed an incident action plan for the readiness in the event something would happen. Not so much severe weather, and we have folks here and don't know what a storm siren sounds like. So how do we react and taking care of them in that manner? So those are the different things that we've been looking at. We start this Thursday is our first meeting with everybody, and then we will be fully opened at the EOC. Any operation time that they're running will be opened up at the EOC and working with them through the event. So an 8 to 8 shift, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been fun.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, I'll let you
No,
move on now.
no, all right. Well, anyway, I'm assuming you all got this in your packet. What this is, we did this in 2018. The commission approved this. And the reason it's being brought back to you today, Region 6 gained another county. Aurora County now belongs to Region 6. So it was decided amongst us that we take and basically just get new signatures from each county as part of this. One of the nice things about this mutual aid agreement is that if we would ever have something that would go beyond what our capabilities are, we could call other counties to come in and assist us. Working in the EOC, working out in the field. The emergency managers are more than willing to help out. I mean, we're not bringing in hundreds of people, but if we might need some key staff to run the operations center, if we had another flood of 2011, that was around the clock and we ran out of time. I mean, a lot of us didn't get much sleep in that 2.5 weeks. We could bring somebody in to sit there and just make sure everything's still going smoothly while the rest of us go take a nap, if you will. So that's basically what this mutual aid agreement is. It's just between the 11 counties in the event something would happen.
This map answers my question.
Okay.
Like on why whoever drew our fire districts in the county must have done this map.
Same
too.
map.
Okay.
I can never understand.
Yeah.
And the reason, I'll give you a quick, the book I gave you in the back, is that the back page?
29.
Page 29 is the actual regions, is that they based it off of the Homeland Security funding, based off of population. So that kind of gave everybody got a fair share dollar amount based on populations, and they come up with this. I mean, Brookings is in ours, but yet Sioux Falls is not. So it's kind of a hodgepodge.
Clay and Turner aren't,
Aren't,
which is
yeah.
weird. But
Yep. And we have mutual aid agreements with them, with our neighboring partners, but it's just the idea, this is something on a grander scope. And everybody's, like I said, everybody did sign it in 2018. And then we're just bringing it back to update it.
you just need a motion then.
Yep.
Move approval of the
Second.
mutual aid agreement.
Motion by Clemish, second by Fox to approve the Region 6 mutual aid agreement. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Cool. If any of you want to stop by the Emergency Operations Center over the weekend and see what we're doing and have some fun, stop on by. Not really fun, but it's, see what we're doing, how we do things. You've been there quite a few times, Dan, in
Yeah.
2019.
Yep,
So,
yep. There today, so yeah, I know you guys are gearing
yeah,
up.
but
so.
yeah, you're more than welcome to come on down. 8 to 8 is when we'll be there. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay. so Just making sure I'm not missing. We jumped around some. Should be at item 15, West Yankton Sanitary District Study Update.
Paul,
Are you calling? Dan, commissioners. Thank you.
Sure. Floor is yours. Go ahead.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to talk a little bit about who we are, what we do, and also about your potential project. Introductions first. My name's Greg Jorgensen. I'm the operations officer for Banner Associates. I've been with them for about 31 years now. Also with me, a couple key team members would be Dennis Rebeline. He's head of our wastewater department, and he's been with us for 18 years. And then we have Cullen Coles. Actually, Cullen lives here in Yankton, and he works out of our Vermillion office, so we're glad to have him on staff. I guess a little forewarning, there's a lot of information on these slides. We did provide you handouts. Want to be respectful of your time, so what we're going to do is just kind of touch on some of the highlights on it. If there's any questions you have, feel free to bust in and ask right away. If you want to wait till the end, that's fine. I believe our cards are all in those binders too. If you have some questions that come up tomorrow, feel free to give us a call too. Banner, we are a consulting engineering firm, primarily South Dakota based, and primarily just civil engineers, and we do provide surveying and environmental services. Again, South Dakota based, we do have offices spread throughout the state. Brookings is actually the corporate office. And again, we have the Vermillion office, which is where Cullen works. We do have a staff of 80 full-time people, and then we have another 10 part-time. When I'm introducing Cullen and Dennis, we do have a full staff of people behind them. These people are all spread throughout the departments. There's a lot of collaboration that happens within our staff. Everybody enjoys getting their input in it and trying to put together the best product for results in a better product for you and a better product for us too. So. And then this is just the last slide on Banner Associates. This is what we do. On the left, you'll see all the different disciplines that we have in our office. And then on the right side, a lot of the services that we can provide. Again, this is where I tell you it's really wordy. Feel free to look through them. If there's any questions, feel free to ask. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Cullen to probably talk more specifically about your projects.
Evening, Commissioners. As Greg said, my name is Colin Colas. I live here in Yankton. I work out of the Vermillion office, like he said. And we're here tonight to discuss the potential of a sanitary district out west of Yankton. I know it's been discussed in the past previously, and you have previous studies done as well. So with that, what is a sanitary district? Well, a sanitary district is a governing body that owns and operates a sanitary sewer system. You can kind of think of it as like a mini municipality in a sense. And with the sanitary district come a few benefits. I'll touch on a few of these. The biggest one, living here, I'm out in that area constantly, so it's very easy to see the opportunities for growth and development in that area. And with the sanitary district, it would just open up those possibilities and provide potentially some more diversified opportunities and developments out in that area as well. Another benefit of having a sanitary district is it would open the access to state and federal funding once the district is set up. You can use those funds to fund the project or future projects as well. Another benefit I'll kind of touch on is today in this day and age, being environmentally friendly is very important. And, having a centralized sewer system is definitely a more effective and safer way of dealing with wastewater. And just kind of an interesting tidbit there, looking at the population out in that area, it's probably one of the largest unsewered areas without a sanitary sewer system in South Dakota. So why is it important to be done correctly? Well, like anything, it's important that you follow the correct steps in setting something like this up. And with that, there come a few issues that we understand are out there. I'll touch on a few of these. We understand that most of the homeowners out there are responsible for their own wastewater collection, mainly via, septic tanks and that kind of thing. That kind of limits the opportunity for development in the area. Having a septic tank in and of itself. The other thing I'll touch on is in the past study, there were a few options in there. One of them was connecting with the city of Yankton sewer system. And right now, the reason that's a big issue is they're actually going through that process of evaluating their wastewater system at this time. So to get a sanitary district in place now, you'd be working kind of hand in hand with the city if you were to do that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dennis, and he'll kind of touch on some more finer points of the sanitary district.
Thank you. So why Banner? What do we have to offer for this project? We'll get into the project a little bit more detail here. But as Greg said, we have departments. We have a department that focuses just on county work. We have a department that focuses just on sanitary, water, et cetera. But with the standalone wastewater department that we have, that's all we do. We do nothing but wastewater collection, wastewater treatment. And with the county department as well, we can collaborate real well together. Experienced staff, and we understand the importance of the formation and the scheduling that's required with a sanitary district, because there are a number of steps that are required to get to that point where you even have a sanitary district. And we have the experience and ability to help you through that. So we'll touch on just some of the key issues here again. I don't want to read verbatim off a slide. You'll have access to that. We'll try to hit kind of the bigger points here. Like I said, with the standalone wastewater department and then our county department, they're different agencies that you end up working with. The county is slightly different than a sanitary district, but with us being under one roof, we're able to collaborate directly as a team on that project. The other thing that Cullen had mentioned is the city of Yankton is looking at not only their treatment facility right now, they're also doing a collection system, or they're going to be starting their collection system model. Well, anytime you have a sanitary district that would pump into the community, the pipe network has to be able to take that as well. So when I was at the conference last week, I talked to a couple key individuals from the city of Yankton regarding this, got an update on things, but that having that relationship already built helps move that along. one of the key items here, engineering side is, I don't want to say easy, it's maybe half the effort. There are two items there that make up the remainder of the effort. One of them is developing, once you have a sanitary district, you have to set rates. Well, how do you set those rates? We have a team, small team, headed up by Tanya Miller in our office and some key staff, where that's what they do. They come into communities and they'll do rate studies and they'll develop the true cost of operation, the true cost of service to the individual. So once you have a project developed and a project cost, they can boil that down and say, this is how you could set up your rates. This is the cost of owning, operating, and maintaining that facility. And as part of that is community outreach. This cannot be formed without the support and buy-in of the community. That is half the effort involved here. So that's one of the things that we're able to certainly help out with along the way. So just some recent sanitary district experience. Keynote here is the majority of our sanitary districts are out West River. They're all around the hills, but we do have a fair amount on the eastern side of the state here. These were chosen specifically just to present here tonight. Lake Ponset, Lake Cochran, obviously around a lake. So what does that mean to you folks? Well, part of the sanitary district is bordered by lake and river. So you have to take that experience into the design and layout of the sanitary district. So then the other two are ones we're working with right now. All four of these we're currently working on right now. But the other two, the way they relate is they're right around the city of Brookings. Both of them are connected up to the city of Brookings. That is the same instance here. So you're bordered by lake and river, and also the sanitary district is bordered by the community of Yankton as well. Public relations, as I said, I don't want to say engineering is the easy part, but when you're an engineer, engineering is the easy part. It's the public outreach that's a little bit, that we struggle a little bit more with, I should say, because we're a little bit more introverts and not so extroverted. But we don't want to forget how important public relations is on the formation of the sanitary district. And here are some of the things that we have to be aware of, moving forward: the stakeholder meetings, landowner meetings, public meetings. You can look at all of them. They're all the same. But then what goes into those? Well, it's the infographics, it's the mailers, it's things of that nature, press releases that are very important to have as part of one of these projects. Because in the end, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get public support and public buy-in for the formation of the district. There we go. So here are a couple examples. You may recognize one of them, but I'll just kind of go through them here quickly. The top one is a rate study and rate setting infographic that's a bill stuffer that we did for the city of Huron. And it was both their water, wastewater rate studies to give them the true cost of service. The information goes out to the community, the individuals in the community, so they understand what goes into their rates and how their rates even compare with other communities. The top right is a construction notice, because once you get to the point where you have a sanitary district formed, there's going to be construction. Well, nobody likes construction. Very few, I should say, very few people like construction, because it's a hindrance on your everyday life. Well, these are construction notices that go out to help keep the public informed as to what work has occurred, what work is going to occur, so they're able to accommodate changes in the everyday life. The bottom one is Martin Creek. That was a I don't know if you want to call it infographic, but a handout that was available to the public to continue the public support and buy-in. And all of this is prepared by our in-house public relations and marketing team. So what does any of this mean to you? This is a very rough but key list of points that has to be gone through to form a sanitary district. The first one is you're going to need legal counsel, because the formation of a sanitary district is legal in nature. You have to follow South Dakota law on the formation of a sanitary district. The other is you need engineering. You can't prepare a plan for that facility or those facilities without engineering support. Once they're on staff, then you move into the next step, which would be commissioning of the facility plan. A facility plan is an engineering document that looks at options for both land area, looks at options for how do you sewer it, lift stations, force mains, pumping to the city of Yankton, treatment, whatnot. And that is what goes into the facility plan itself. That's also where costs are developed. During that same point in time, and maybe towards the end, would be coordination with the public outreach, getting public buy-in. Because that leads up to the key step here, and that's the public vote. A sanitary district, in order to be formed, has to be first voted on and approved by the people living in the sanitary district. Those people who are registered to vote in the sanitary district or in that location. Following through with that, you get to the last two steps. Now, the last two steps are the only steps that the county is required to do. Anything before that is because you're an organized governing body, best equipped to move this along. But the last two steps would be the review and approve of their application for organization. And then following that would be issuing an order declaring them as an incorporated sanitary district. Once you've gotten to that point, you hand it off to the newly formed sanitary district. The county would be out of it. So it's kind of the steps of what would go into general steps. And there's more details in this, but generally how it would proceed. And this all goes back to this slide here. We understand that there are ARPA funds that you have, and you're trying to figure out what is the best use of those funds. How do you make the most amount of use of it? This schedule is prepared based on ARPA deadlines that are known. It's also prepared based on the SRF funding deadlines, because the state revolving fund, they have deadlines that are required as well. So it's an example schedule. This should not be considered firm. You have to meet it, but it shows how this schedule can align with both SRF requirements and align with the ARPA obligation deadline and expense deadline. So with that, again, we wanted to keep as close to the 10 minutes as we could. There's a lot of information. I guess as far as questions go, we can stay and answer as many questions as you'd like.
Are you currently working with the city on theirs?
The city of Yankton, we are not working with Yankton on their wastewater treatment facility or their collection system.
Okay. And then did you do any of the two previous studies for the sanitary district?
For this sanitary district? No, we were not included in those.
Okay.
I've reviewed the most recent one that was completed.
That was, when was that? 2008 is that's the one I have here is I believe is the latest one.
That is the one that I reviewed.
I feel it's something that needs to be looked at, and like was said earlier, it's probably the best chance we're gonna get with ARPA funds available with the city of Yankton looking at redoing their system. It would make sense to work in conjunction with the city to handle that. And the type of growth we could get in that area would be something other than campgrounds and storage units, which would be nice to have. So.
Well, in on-site treatment systems encumber the property because they have to be so large. And there are, and I don't know if the county has more stringent regulations than the state, but the state has regulations on setbacks from drinking water wells, from water pipelines, from property lines, et cetera. And it takes the minimum size lot and makes it that much smaller because of the size of some of these systems.
A lot of those systems are coming to the end of their useful life too, as well. They're probably 45, 50 years old. Some of them a little bit older than that.
Dan, who initiated those other studies? Do you know?
These ones
Yeah.
here, from what I was able to determine back in the 90s, and maybe Don or somebody else might know, BY Electric initiated the initial study that went through a vote and passed at a pretty high percentage. But from what I was determined, it went to court and got overturned on a technicality,
The
something
actual
like that.
district did.
The district did. So it had been planned to set up, and then after that, I think it just kind of went away and then in 2008, there was another push and this was done. And then Don, was that in 2014 when we reviewed it at the planning commission? And I think in 2008, when the economy tanked, this was kind of shelved again. And then when Don and I went to the meeting and we sent out letters to that area, from what I recall, people were very supportive of it. I don't think there was a lot of resistance, but I believe the first step is to try to get this feasibility study updated, with ARPA funds and with DENR funds, and just to kind of get a plan together.
I'm
for
not
that.
certain we can use ARPA funds for that.
Well, I know we can use DENR has.
For the
funds available
ARPA
for
funds, the
that.
4 million that we got,
Mhm.
I hate to waste the 4 million on that. It
I don't
seems
know
like
if
the
we
biggest,
can.
the biggest recipient of the value of those ARPA funds would be the Heine's, because they own most of the land out that way.
I know the NACO call ARPA funds for studies around water and sewer. Studies must have intent to do the project. And I think without a sewer district, it would be difficult to expend ARPA funds.
And I'd hate
Even
the
for the
county to have
feasibility
to,
study.
as you've said earlier, I'd
Yeah.
hate the county to have to come up with a bunch of money.
Yeah,
I mean, I can see the benefit out there, but I don't know, I know we've talked about it for years. It's
Mhm.
getting, to me, we need to get buy-in from the shareholders out there.
Correct.
And the county can facilitate.
Yeah. And I think that's
in
really
what
what
we need to
this
do,
is, bringing it forward. Where are we gonna go? I know other engineering company, Stockwell's, they've contacted us. They have some interest too, and they're actually the ones who did this. But I think the first step is looking at seeing what we can get for DENR, because I believe, well, it's DANR now. I believe they paid the vast majority to have these studies done. And smaller communities, I know Lesterville had a big grant a few years ago to do it. There's all kinds of, funding for this type of thing available that,
In town,
pardon me.
in town.
Yeah, but there's.
You're
other
not
sam-
talking in town, you're talking
Yeah.
1,200 acres of
Mhm.
land owned by basically 5 people that would benefit.
Well, there's a huge population that lives at Riverside Acres, for example, Highway 52 corridor. There's a lot of people that live in that area that would, potentially benefit from that as well.
Don't most of those people already have septic tanks?
I would say they do, yeah.
If you were to approach this, how do you start defining where that district would even start and stop?
Ultimately, you would want to focus on the area of need first. So it wouldn't be undeveloped land. You would focus on the houses that are there, the people that are on septic systems, and you would focus on serving people of actual need right now.
Timberland Park already has their own little district and they pump uphill.
Yep.
And it's been a nightmare from what I understand, as far back as 15 years ago. Because my former secretary used to be the president of that little thing, and it's been a problem. Consequently, sold her house, moved to Sioux Falls.
Some of, not knowing that, I did talk to the head of the utilities for Yankton when I was at the conference, and they're limited to 40 homes, so that cannot be expanded. That's the agreement with the city is 40 homes. Now, with respect to the operation or the headache, I don't doubt that there could be operational issues or headache, but a lot of times that can be attributed, I don't want to necessarily say to design, but it could be,
Give the undersized.
well, it could be undersized. It could be the fact that it's in poor condition right now. It's maybe not getting the maintenance it needs to get.
Yeah, but this was 15 years ago.
Or it could be due to cost saving measures that probably shouldn't have been taken. That means it doesn't perform well, because we put lift stations in communities all the time and they work. I don't know the reason why this one wouldn't work.
And we're gonna be able to find all kinds of problems and reasons why we shouldn't do it. That's why, you know, it is, from what I've been able to determine, is the largest area in the state of South Dakota without any type of sanitary system whatsoever. I feel what we should do is at least get an estimate on what it would cost to have these guys update our feasibility study that's from 2008. In my opinion, that's probably the first step, and maybe we can look through that and identify what areas make sense. If you guys have gone through this, it goes all the way out to Highway 52 and it goes north of the bluff, kind of where Don lives. Maybe that doesn't make sense, but maybe just a Highway 52 corridor, a smaller system, maybe that does make sense where we can get some type of growth out in that area. We're not committing to spending any money or agreeing to do anything. All it is
And
let's
who's
look
gonna
into it.
pay for the update?
Well, if we get an estimate, I think that should be on the county to do it, and we can look through.
From what
grants.
funds?
Well, we can look at and apply from some grants for DENR, and I have some other ones in mind where we could look to do that. Because I don't know what a cost to update this is. Do you guys have a cost? Rough?
I would hate to throw a number
Sure.
out. It would be best to come down with just a couple key members and go through exactly what you'd be looking for to actually give you a real cost of what it would take.
What
That
it
was
what
my-
it boils down to, in my opinion, if I'm right, I could be very wrong. How much is it gonna cost the consumer?
Yeah,
The consumer, so
the real price.
the real price of the sanitary district once it's constructed. And that is what the big, not necessarily this, we could look at it as far as this planning document, but that's the intent of the planning document, is to come up with a general layout and a plan and the opinion of cost.
I don't know that that answers Don's question. I think what he's looking for is how much per month is it gonna cost the person who now pays $200 a year to take care of their septic system? Are we gonna go from $200 a year to what it costs in the city, mandatory minimum of X dollars a month that goes up every 3 years or every year? Because I've yet to have one person come up to me and say, I'd like to pay more money on
Correct.
bills.
Correct.
But so going back to feasibility study and that you would be defining an area in a feasibility study. It would not be a cost associated, a design, any of that would not come until the feasibility study was done. The district would be then formed. And then cost estimates for this project.
Well, in opinion of cost for construction would be determined at
Based
the
on
end of the
that.
facility plan or the feasibility study.
Okay.
Is when you would get an idea of the construction cost of the infrastructure, the lift station or lift stations and the piping.
Okay.
That would be the intent, but before you can get that, you have to define the study area.
Right.
And that was a substantial study area. It was more a feasibility study and not a facility plan detailed one. How would we actually do this?
Okay. I know there's been at township meetings that I've attended and things, there's been very little appetite from citizens to spend money out there. that don't live there. You know, that's not
Mhm.
your guys'
Mhm.
problem or issue, but
From
I
what
mean,
I
I would-
understand, when you set up a sanitary district and it takes the vote, it's the people who live inside that district, because it's a taxing entity that can tax themselves and they can apply for the DNR grants and take out loans. So it's really, in a sense, it's the people that benefit, that pay the cost of it. I'm not proposing the county build the whole thing for free, but I think the county is in a unique position where we can help facilitate it and get the ball rolling, so to say. And if we do a feasibility study and we go out there and nobody is interested in that, you know, so be it, but at least we're trying to be proactive on this, because if the county doesn't push for this, you know what's gonna happen? Nothing, because that's what has happened for the last 20 years.
Well, you know, somebody, I don't know who it was, somebody tried years ago to do that, and I think it was BY Water, actually. And thought that all of the folks that lived in the lake area wanted to be on a sewer district. And it turned out they were wrong. That people just weren't interested in having another bill.
I believe it, Pat, from what I recall, it did pass by a pretty high vote from what I was told, and then got overturned on court. I could be.
I would be
wrong.
surprised.
There are people, and I know quite a few people in Riverside Acres, that they also don't like a $25,000 bill when a 50-year-old septic system that's built on sand starts falling apart. And that's what eventually we're gonna have to deal with, and those people are gonna have to deal with as well. Those systems are, like I said, end of their useful life. It was never intended to be in that high of a concentration. We get people in here all the time complaining about the campgrounds and this and this. And raw sewage, if you go on Facebook, that's what the complaint is out there, and something needs to be done. And it's not gonna get any cheaper.
so
Where are you looking on Facebook for that?
in an
I'll
effort
look
to
after this.
move the meeting along and get some direction on this and go, what would you like to see?
Well, I would like to get a quote, or if there's any interest from the commission, maybe we sit down with these individuals and we get an estimate on what it would cost to update the feasibility study. And
I
is that
thought he
what you
said he
get?
couldn't give us an estimate.
He didn't want to give us an estimate here, is that correct?
Tonight.
I think he wants real direction
Oh,
on
yeah.
what it might look like to
Yeah.
get
And
an
I
estimate.
imagine that's at no cost to us. It's a free estimate.
Correct.
Okay, and what do we have to lose? So I guess I'd be willing to do that if anybody else would want to join me.
Why don't you get the ball rolling on that, depending on timing? when
Don,
it
do you want to,
is.
would you be interested in meeting with these guys sometime?
Sure.
Or so Don and I will meet with you, we'll be in contact, and you can come back with us with an estimate on what it would cost to update this. So,
Yeah.
That sounds great.
That's
Thank you.
probably the start, and then,
okay. Thank
okay,
you.
Thank you for having us. We
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
Thank you for the information.
thanks, gentlemen. Okay. We're done with 15A. We're on to item 16, claims. I'll give you a minute here to. Yep,
I'd move to approve claims.
motion to approve, Fox.
Second.
Second by Kettering. All those in favor? Say
Aye.
aye. Aye. Any opposed? Claims are approved. Next, we'll do the auditor treasurer report and pooled cash report.
Move approval of the auditor treasurer report and pool cash report.
Second.
Motion to approve by Kettering, second by Fox. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 17. Approval of the September 7th, 2021 minutes.
I would move approval of the September 7, 2021 minutes.
Motion by Fox,
Second.
second by Clemish. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of the September 10th, 2021 minutes.
Move approval of the September 10th, 2021 minutes.
Second.
Motion by Kettering, second by Clemish. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And finally, the approval of the September 15th, 2021 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve by Clemish, second by Kettering. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, moving on, item 18. Mileage and meal rates for Yankton County.
Sure, talking with some of our employees, Yankton's a little bit off when we come to, we're on with the state, but the per diem for travel is a little bit off, and I guess I would just move that we adopt the state rates for both mileage and per diem. It just makes sense to go off the state rates.
As those
instead of-
fluctuate, will fluctuate
Yeah, yeah.
automatically.
And right now, we have it set at, we're gonna pay this and we're gonna pay this. Just from here on out, we pay state rates. That was, you know, so. So I guess I'd make that motion to adopt state rates for mileage and per diem.
Motion by Clemish to adopt state rates for travel reimbursement. Summary.
Yeah. Will that work, Patty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Well, I just wanted to ask a question
Okay.
of Dan.
Sure.
What are the other rates?
Uh,
I was looking, I can't, I have
Sure.
the state rates, but I don't have the other rates, so I don't have anything to compare with.
Sure. Yeah, per diem state rate. I actually don't have that in front of me. I don't know what I know it's lower than that right now.
I
guess
think the mileage is the same at
the mileage
42,
is the same, yeah.
but I think the meals, this breakfast.
At the
supper
very
is different.
top is the county rates. So out of in-state per diem rate, $6 for breakfast, 11 for lunch, 15 for dinner. Where state rates is 6, 14, and 20. Basically the same.
Yeah. It just, I guess in my
But yeah,
opinion,
I
it made
think
sense just to follow what the state was because we're close, we're a couple bucks, but it's not a huge deal, but it just made sense to be with what the state had.
I'd second that motion.
Okay, motion by Clemish, second by Kettering to approve state rate travel reimbursement for the county. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. 52 minutes didn't work out, but with that, I will take public comment. If anyone in the audience would care to make a public comment, now's your time. Seeing and hearing none, public comment is closed. Can I get a motion to go into executive session for poor relief?
Commissioner.
Oh, sorry, I skipped one. Commissioner updates.
I don't have anything important. at this time.
I'd throw out, I guess, Wanda, and Dan and I went out to Rapid City to attend the county commission annual convention and Patty, you were there. Good meeting. We always make a lot of contacts with other people and get ideas from what's going on in other counties. So encourage people, if they get an opportunity to try to make it happen.
It's always nice to hear that we're not the only ones with problems.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's exactly. And then I'd say, today I volunteered, to work at the archery tournament. And, just kind of a little side note, I was talking to a highway patrolman. and
On a personal basis?
Yes, yeah, just kind of chatty. And there were three policemen that walked by. And I said to the patrolman, I said, you know, if I were trying to avoid getting shot at the distance those archers are shooting versus those three policemen
Yeah.
with their 9mm, I think I'd have a lot better chance with the 9mm than the archery. It's amazing what those people can do at 80, 90 yards with the wind blowing 20 mile an hour, 25 mile an hour. And, you know, there were not a lot of spectators there, but it's quite an event to watch people from lots of countries going through.
Good. Thank you, Don. Wanda, anything?
No.
I had one, but I forgot it. It wasn't important, so. With that, when is our 8 county meeting?
October 7th.
October 7th, okay.
There's Tom on the
Jolene's.
Tom standing.
Yep.
Yep, okay.
Okay, so 8 county meeting, October 7th. In Yankton, okay. With that, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session for poor relief issues pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2 and 28-13 and 28-13-1.3. And executive session for litigation pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2 subparagraph 3. And for personnel issue pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2 subparagraph 1.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We are now in executive session.
Joe, you promised us 50 minutes.
Microphones on, please. Can I get a motion to come out of executive session?
Second.
Motion by Fox, second by Clemish, come out of executive session. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passed. We're now in regular session. No action will be taken as a count of executive session. Any items for next meeting? We got zoning
We
or
got
licensing.
zoning. We may be talking about a bid on a chassis of a ambulance.
No, he was gonna wait then, wasn't he?
October to the. Yes, I'd move we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Clemish,
Second.
second by Fox. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We are now adjourned.